Throughout the semester, I've been telling you that some of the data types that Access has built in, there's other ways to do them, and actually, I think better ways to do them. The one that always comes to mind is the hyperlink. Hyperlink fields. I understand why Microsoft put that data type into the list of data types, but there's some things about them that tend to be a little bit finicky, and I really hate it when I have to manage uh, links that are already in my database where I have to go and change the link because something's moved or a directory name is changed or something like that. It gets a little bit frustrating. I'll show you what I mean right now. I'm going to go into this one that's S03-E06-InvokeLinks. So this is pretty straightforward. It shouldn't take too long. I've got a table called dummy. It's not. It's no particular subject. Let me open it up in design view so you can see it. I've got just two fields beside the primary key field. One that is a hyperlink called dummy dash hyperlink. See, it's hyperlink data type, and then I've got another one that's called dummy. It's a short text field called dummy dash link. All right, and neither of these are required. I mean, this is just to demonstrate how I could do a hyperlink on a short text field rather than on a hyperlink field. So I'm gonna close that down, and then I've got a form that I built here, and so I've got those two fields in here. So if I had the address for the something that's out on the internet, say, I could just put that in the hyperlink field, and you know this. You just click on that, and then it should open up the browser and load in the page, the URL from the URL. That's good, and it's whatever default browser you use. I use Chrome, so it loaded in Chrome for me. Close that down, and now here's another way to do it. Okay, and that would be in. And first, let me show you why I don't like this too much. Let's say I wanted to change this now, all right? If I just come and click in here at all, it's going to open it up, bam, that stinks. I didn't want it to open again. And sometimes this takes a little while. I mean, if it happens to you often, you get really tired of it, okay? Really, the only way to do this truthfully is to right click in this, okay? But then it gets really difficult if I have to go and actually delete the whole thing usually and retype it. And if it's a long link, that could be a while. Now, of course, I could always go back to the place and cut and paste the URL in, but even that could take some time. All right, here I like it much better. I could actually, highlight things and move and blah 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 blah. But obviously, I can't just open it from here. Instead, I could open it using a command button that's next to it that actually opens that link. And I've got two different ways of doing this. One is, let's say these links are always going to be URLs for websites. All right, I can actually call out a specific application and open that up. So maybe I had that my default browser is Chrome, but maybe I want these to open up in Internet Explorer. So I've got a button right here now that I just click on here, and it will open up Internet Explorer and load in eBay. That's nice. Okay, but I can have links besides websites, right? I can have email addresses. I could have the address of files. The directory structure for a file or something like that. What if I just want to open up anything in general? In whatever application is associated with it through my Windows. Right now, obviously. All my URLs that I would open would be associated with Chrome because Chrome's my default browser. So I go browse whatever, and you'll see eBay is now opening up, and it's opening up in Google Chrome. So that's nice. I like that. All right. And as you show you, I do have some other records in here with other things. So like here's a hyperlink to a document that I have out on my H drive. And I've got the hyperlink here. I could do this. And if your system supports it, that could open up directly. It knew that it was a file because it's had H drive preceding it. Here's the short text version of that. And if I do browse whatever, it does the same thing. It opens up the file. And of course, that file is a docx document, so it's associated with my Microsoft Word. And that opened up. Well, what if I hit this one here, though? This is Browse IE. Remember, it was going to try to put it into the browser. Well, it turns out some browsers will let you actually go on. So it knows it can't open this up as URL, but it's going to let me open it. It's going to let me launch from there to open it up. So that's a two-step process, but I could still get there and do it. Okay, so either one of these is going to work. And then email address. So here's my email. I click on that, and it opens up my associated email, which is I've got in Microsoft Outlook, and it's ready to send an email to that address, to my address, as it turns out. Okay, I'm gonna close it down. Here again, I could, you know, move around here a lot better than I could do up here. Up here, I just click in there and it's going to start doing things. In fact, the only way to really get in there without it doing anything is to control tab into it, and I have to do a control a shift tab here because I'm going backwards. Okay, yeah, and that's some. But anyway, um, again, do browse whatever, and it prepares the email for me just like the other one did. And if I do browse IE, it just so happens IE also will let me direct me to Outlook. So I got a two-step process here, and it does give me this blank cancel page, but then it does finally get there and open up an email for me, and I can do it. But that's really dependent on your system and how you have things associated through Windows. That's going to cause that to happen. So let me show you how these actually work, and you're going to be amazed how easy this is. All right, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go in Design View, and I should let you know that I named this one. I didn't name this one because that one's all set really to do its work. But this one, I named it CTB Dummy Dash Link. Okay, so it's a text box control for Dummy Dash Link that's bound to TXT Dummy Dash Link. All right, now I'm going to go into the Browse IE button. That's a command button, and go to its on-click property. And you'll see there's just one command in here, run application, and you say what you want for the command line. Now what I did in here is I put the full path name to IE Explorer on my personal computer. So that's the thing about this, okay? On my computer it's on C drive. But let's say somebody else had it on D drive. Then I wouldn't be able to just give this to them and it run. There might be a way that I could build an alias, make a server alias, and put that as a prefix to this, but I just wanted to show you how you do this. And by the way, if it's not Internet Explorer, if it was something else, I could put that one in there. If this was maybe all Excel spreadsheets that I had in there, and I wanted to open in Excel, I could put the pathway to Excel in here. But you see, that is a string, and then concatenate that string, I put the reference to that control, that CTB dummy dash link that actually has the address in it. So that's being passed as a parameter. In fact, if you notice here at the very end of the string, there's a blank space. You want to have that because you don't want to have it concatenate right on top of the exe. Otherwise, it won't be able to recognize that is a parameter that's being passed to the file. So this is one way that you could do it is by what they call a parameter list. And you can have other parameters too, by the way, if your program could expect other things to be in there. All right, so that's one way to do it. And again, this isn't just for hyperlink fields. You could do this for almost anything that you want to associate an application to. But let's look at the way I would usually do this. I think this is the more robust way and actually the easier way. Again, a command button, but you'll see there's no on-click property here. Instead, if I go up just a little bit here, you see this one that says hyperlink address? I got equal the value of that control basically. So it's equal to whatever the value of this is, okay? If that was null and I hit this button, nothing would happen, all right? Which is different than this one. If I hit this one and this is null, it would open up IE, but to whatever your home page is, I believe. Um, but anyway, yeah, with the browse whatever, if this was null and I hit that, it's just going to say it's going to give me an error message that says link unknown. By the way, if the link was mistyped, that it can't get to it, it would say error in the link or something like that. But it wouldn't kick you out. It wouldn't cause you to go to the debugger. It would just leave you here basically and waiting for you to do the right thing. All right. Now, one thing I do need to point out though, as soon as you put this hyperlink address in there, the for color will change to hyperlink text, I think is the name of it, or something like that. All right, and it'll give you that look of being whatever you have have hyperlink. Me, it's a bright blue with an underline. Okay, in fact, I think it gets underlined anyway, no matter what it is. But it would be whatever color you have for a hyperlink text. What I did is I changed it back, and the way I found out what I had over, I just went over here and saw, okay, that one's for color. It's right here is this thing. Again, I told you you really shouldn't use these ones that are built in, but just for sake of showing it, that's what I did. I just copied that, and then on the for color, this one, pasted that in there, and then on underline, it had made it yes, and I set it back to no, and that's how it gives it the same look. So that's it. That's all you have to do to make that work. Pretty straightforward. I like it a lot more. I've gotten to a habit that I just don't use hyperlinks. I use a short text field for any kind of link that I want to do. And then if I want to actually activate that link from an Access application, I use what I did here in the browse, whatever. All right. And again, it will know if it's a URL to a website. It will know if it's a pathway to a file that's on your system or even out in the cloud somewhere, as long as you've got the connection from your system to the cloud working. Otherwise, you'll get an error when you try to a connection error that will come from Windows, actually, not from Access. And then, of course, email, or you could. Now, I should have showed you though. Let me show you that really quick. That on the email one, you do have to preface it with mail to. And that's pretty standard, okay? If I just put drjohnwsu@gmail.com, sometimes it would recognize that that's an email address, sometimes it doesn't. So I just got in the habit that whenever I have an email address, I always make it mail to. Now, if this was only emails, if I had, say, a column, a field for email addresses, and I wanted to use this, then what I could have done on that on the field here, on the browse field, I didn't mean to do that. What I could have done on the hyperlink property here, it says equal, and then as a string, mail to. And I don't think you need to have a space actually, but you can. I think you can. It wouldn't hurt either way. And then concatenate CTB dummy link, and just don't put mail to on it here then, because it's going to actually create that as a part of the substring operation here of the string concatenation operation that it's doing here, the expression. So anyway, I think that's pretty strong, and there are others. There's like FTP. So again, if you were doing one where everything in your field was an FTP, you could either add the FTP in a concatenated string here, prefixing the address, or you could just write FTP and then the address right here, and it would do the same thing. So that's again really nice, really powerful, very simple to do. I really sometimes question why Microsoft did a hyperlink type when that is just so simple to do anyway. But at the same time, I know they're trying to make it everything work for people who don't know how to program very well, or don't feel comfortable doing development, even that level of development. But for what we're doing in this class, doing things like that, I think are pretty impressive and smart and helpful to our end users. So uh, that's how you do another way of doing a link from a field. And there are other methods, it turns out, that will work just as well. But that is the easiest one I've ever seen, and that's one I typically use. So thanks a lot, and we'll move on to the next technique.